It is 9:35. The webinar should be taking place until around 11-ish, 11:15, 11:30, and my role will be to introduce every single speaker. We will start introducing the president of the British Chamber of Commerce in Spain, Luis Pardo. Luis Pardo is the CEO of Sage, a leading software company in Spain, where he has been in this position as CEO since 2014 and working in different very senior positions since 2001. Luis has been acknowledged leading CEO of the year by media companies like Razón in 2017 and Club CEO in 2020. Luis has a senior role in advisory committees of like COE, Foment, Ametic, and others. And since April this year, he has been president of the British Chamber of Commerce in Spain. I would like to invite Luis to open and welcome everybody in today's webinar. Thank you.
Eva, and thank you, everyone. Well, first of all, good morning. Just a quick one before we start the event. Please,
we can't hear you.
Hello? Do you hear me well?
Yes, we do. Luis, it's fine. Sound is okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, all good, Luis.
Thank you very much. I think, Eva, you have maybe some issues in there because we can hear very well. So a quick one, as I said before, please, we ask you to turn off your camera and mute yourself so we are able to focus on the speakers. And at the end of the roundtable, there will be the opportunity to ask questions and that you will be able to submit them through the chat in Spanish or in English. Well, welcome. I'm Luis Pardo. I'm the president of the British Chamber of Commerce in Spain. And as you might know, we are the only independent business organization that promotes and defends the interests of all the Spanish and the UK trade investment in Spain. Now, first of all, I hope that you and all your families are well and safe. For me, it's a great pleasure now to open this second innovation webinar of a series of webinars of the Innovation Committee. This committee is made up by 6 leading Spanish companies and British companies whose business strategy puts innovation at the top and bilateral collaboration on their strategies. These companies are AstraZeneca, Evolutio, GlaxoSmithKline, by the way, president of the committee, Gestam Group, vice president of the committee, Iberdrola, and Telefónica. This committee counts also with AMI. It's a consultancy firm specialized in innovation as knowledge partner and the support of the Science and Innovation Department of the British Embassy in Spain. As you know, we collaborate with leading promoters of innovation in our country, like Fundación Cotec, the CISC, and with the government in departments like the Ministry of Innovation and also the Ministry of Trade and Industry. I want to thank Telefónica for taking the lead on the organization of this seminar, and to all the speakers who will be able to give a very interesting perspective of their current international programs to lead digital transformation and also to bring a UK startup to contribute with their experience from this country. In Telefónica, special thanks to the institutional relations team, so Natalia Moreno and Maria Jose Lanuza, also to Cristina Echenique from the IoT and BigData team, and the speakers, Sandra Fernandez, head of new business, IoT and Big Data, and also to Paloma Castellano, director of WireEye Spain. I'd like to thank you also, Jose Maria Gallardo from Iberdrola, who will share all the experience of the leading innovation in the energy sector. Thank you to Mr. Raul Blanco, Secretary General of Industry and SMEs, who already has a very close relation with the Chamber, and he is always ready to give support to Spain, UK initiatives to promote more collaboration in favor of all industrial innovation. Thank you very much to the British Ambassador, Hugh Elliott, and to Sarah Cebrian of the Department of Science and Innovation for contributing to the role of the committee. And with the presence of relevant speakers and experience from the UK, like today, the presence of Digital Catapult Company. It's an occasion to learn about the status of innovation in the UK the leading technology centers in this country and the emerging technologies that are coming now. The webinar will address the status of the digital transformation in Spain and in the UK, which are the leading new technologies and their application to improve competitiveness and entrepreneurship, as well of all the challenges that business are facing today. I am convinced, and we are convinced, that innovation is a key driver for the necessary economic recovery of the Spanish and the UK landscape when we talk about business. In this final phase of the negotiation of the exit of the UK from the EU, we would like to be at the front of the organizations that provide relevant information opportunities to maintain more than 60,000 million of trade between both countries. Now, in November, we will publish the 6th edition of the Barometer of British Investment in Spain, which shows that the United Kingdom was the largest investor in our country, with more than 4,200 million per year investment. Moreover, the update of the barometer we did in July showed that the first quarter of this year, the UK remained the largest investor in Spain with more than 800 million euros. This barometer includes a survey of a wide range of British companies in Spain who quote that the position of Spain in the Global Innovation Index needs to improve in the investment in innovation in order to attract more British investment and more bilateral collaboration. This innovation committee wants to grow. So we invite companies that are interested in the innovation and contributing to building bridges between Spain and UK to join us. As Chief Executive Officer of a leading company, Sage, and also as President of the British Chamber of Commerce, I'm certain that the innovation will be a key principle. More than that, the unique driver that we must leverage in order to recover from the sanitary and the economic crisis, as well as by strengthening bilateral relationships. Now I'd like to hand over to the first keynote speaker, Sandra Fernandez, Head of Scouting, New Business, IoT and Big Data from Telefónica. Thank you very much for your participation, and I hope that you enjoy the webinar. Sandra, all yours.
Thank you very much, Luis. Please allow me to say just a few words before I pass the floor to Sandra. Sandra Fernandez is Head of Scouting and New Business, IoT and Big Data in Telefónica. She's a telecommunications engineer and executive MBA with honors from IE. She's lived and worked in Germany, Latin America and Spain. She's even been a four-time entrepreneur. She currently leads the acceleration of new businesses in the global IoT and Big Data department of Telefónica. Her passion is transforming disruptive ideas into profitable businesses, and we are really honored to have Sandra to have the first keynote speech session to open this webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Eva, Luis. It's a pleasure to be here today. In the next 15 minutes, I will share with you my vision on innovation and digital transformation in Spain, and how at Telefónica we are combining our IoT and big data capabilities to help our B2B clients and customers to accelerate the transformation of their business models, extracting all the value of the data created in a digital world to generate additional income and optimize cost and investment, especially in these times of COVID. If you let me, I will share my screen because I have a presentation. Give me a second, please. Do you see my screen right now?
Yes, Sandra, all good.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, first of all, it's paradoxical that according to data from the European Private Business Survey 2019, prepared by PricewaterhouseCoopers, the percentage of Spanish SMEs that consider digitalization very relevant, it's 78%. when the European average is being 65%, but investment is practically nil. In our country, only 22% allocate more than 5% of investment to digitalization, compared to other European countries such as Denmark, Norway, or Sweden that invest around 45%. The characteristics of our business fabric made up to a large extent by not very innovative sectors such as micro companies, retailers, hotels, restaurants, and construction. This led us to the fact that, according to Eurostat, 57% of Spanish companies have a low level of digitalization today in Spain. One thing is clear: the digital transformation of companies cannot be carried out in an improvised way from one day to the next. So many freelancers and small Spanish companies that could continue to work normally would see their income drop drastically during this month, and some of them will be forced to close. The coronavirus has exponentially accelerated the path of digitalization, and in just a few months, we have changed the way we interact, the way we communicate, the way we study, play sports, and even work. So it has taken a pandemic to become more digital. According to recent studies, 95% of executive professionals have changed their digital transformation priorities in the wake of COVID-19. In fact, 71 say that they have managed to implement projects planned for months or years in just a few weeks this year. So the coronavirus has accelerated the digital transformation process of companies and has focused on the customer experience. And this is very important. In the new normal, technology cannot only strengthen our customer relationships, also redefines security, IT capabilities, support needs of all organizations. And for a large number of companies, and probably you are one of them, teleworking has become the norm. And with it, the technological needs that both the organization itself, but also the end customers have changed. So digital transformation can turn the way you run a business, streamline work processes, and improve the way you manage customer information. And in these difficult times, companies are clear. The time for digital transformation is now, not 10 years from now. IoT and big data are two of the fundamental pillars of Telefónica's vision to make our lives more human by connecting others with the things that are important to them. But before, let me start by explaining what we call the data path, the path that each of our clients experiences with us as they discover the capabilities that the platform offers them, that the digital transformation offers them, at the moment they connect devices and begin to obtain data. The first step is sensors. Sensors connect to networks. And in Telefónica, we deploy both public and private networks, dedicated and specific IoT networks that reinforce the coverage and extend the life of the batteries and the devices. In this path of the Internet of Things, data is generated, and together with the mobile data of the network, this can be extrapolated and aggregated with other external data sources to reach service platforms. Finally, and with all that information through the big data and artificial intelligence technologies, and with security, cloud, and other collateral technologies like blockchain, we can go a further step, and we can generate predictive and prescriptive models that provide a strategic advantage to our customers. So from here, with this path, a new world of possibilities opens up, and that's what I do in my everyday life. It's when transformation occurs, new business models arise, and business processes emerge and are more efficient. This is just the beginning, and this is a continuous cycle of improvement. as each new decision allows connected objects to provide increasingly precise data and be really managed in the process receiving. So as we always say, we offer more than a solution, we offer evolution. IoT and big data are two main pillars of the fourth industrial revolution that are dramatically changing all industries, our lives and societies in this time of the change. And we are playing a relevant role in both areas. This leadership position makes the difference for our B2B clients, because for us, leading means more than staying ahead of the competition. It also means taking on great global responsibilities for the things that matter most to all of us in this connected world. Our client experiences show our vision and main strength in IoT and big data and artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, cloud, cybersecurity. All the digital transformation path needs a differential value proposition in the creation of a business unit. So for us as new business accelerators, we need to be ahead on this generation of value to the final customers. This successful situation for us as a value generator is the result of differential assets we have developed over the years for more than 8 years now. Differential network for IoT, guide platform, security assets, execution capabilities, consulting capabilities. And as a result, we can probably say that we have the most comprehensive portfolio of IoT and data analytics in the telco industry today. This successful situation, sorry, because I was missing one slide, I don't know why. Here. Okay, so this is how we are improving the businesses and lives of our customers, and they no longer question us why. We have gone beyond the testing phase, and now the sky is the limit. This has positioned us as a strong driver for the growth of Telefónica. And well, as we don't have time to waste today, let's get straight to the action. I have selected some examples in which Telefónica IoT and Big Data unit combine their various efforts, capabilities, and knowledge. First of all, Industry 4.0. This is the F1 of connectivity for us, because there are great challenges and a great precision is needed to be on an industry customer. The high density of devices connected at the same time, thousands of them, the 5.9 SLAs needed, the quality and reliability requirements we have to face, and low latency use cases that needs of 5G networks, LTE networks, high performance solutions, high extra security, great carrier solutions. This needs a lot of capabilities that needs to be integrated in an efficient way to operate in this kind of environments. So in this extremely difficult field where we have plenty demonstrated the variety of capacities we have even in consultancy and integration of solutions, we have learned a lot that we extract and put into the rest of industry, because our vision on this industrial environments, intelligent, efficient, autonomous, it can go to many others. During the recent lockout period, we have provided our customers in every industry sector with public-focused solutions. Having the ability to adapt our discourse to the current situation has been key to demonstrate that innovation and transformation is in our DNA. We already had retail solutions, workforce solutions, big data solutions, but giving them a new focus to meet our customers' requirements today has been key for success. In the case of retail industry, it's undergoing a profound transformation due to the impact of new shopping habits, social media, e-commerce. You know, e-commerce has increased nearly 50% during this COVID crisis. And premium delivery services also have reached an increase of 30%. Our solutions allow our retail clients to improve the understanding of their buyers, visitors, and potential clients, integrating data from stores and establishments. And this combination of data from the wide telecommunications network to microsensors allows us to analyze the potential of the different points of sale, compare competitors, identify hidden value segments, and support marketing actions to improve the flow of customers to the point of sale and increase the conversion rates. That is why we also deploy effective sensors to connect lighting, sound, displays, controlled by a centralized premium platform that allows the retailer to display personalized content at the right time and place, adjusting the behavior of the store and therefore the buyer's experience. We have deployed this responsive store concept for brands such as Dufry, Consume, or Atlético de Madrid. By combining IoT and analytics and inteligencia and artificial intelligence, retailers have access in the physical world to KPIs similar to those they get online. And this is really changing the game. From there, they can start a dialogue that goes beyond the moment of purchase. We became strong leaders in our fields, recognized by clients, but also by the analyst community, such as Gartner, Forrester, and many others. In addition, we have been constantly deploying an entire ecosystem of partners, so we always prepare to provide our customers with a complete end-to-end service they value most. And partners probably are one of the key factors that drives innovation. We cannot go alone. We need a lot of new entering solutions, technologies, capabilities that we cannot build from scratch as a big company. That's why we have a open innovation program that we run since for 3 years now, that allows us to have a successful scouting tool that probably is the most difficult thing to select and prioritize new solutions on vertical to go for, and from a business perspective. And from this open innovation initiative, we are at the 3rd edition this year. We accepted 100 new companies. The focus is SMEs, startups, and small companies in Spain, UK, Germany, and Brazil. And the key technologies are IoT, blockchain, and artificial intelligence for this year edition for us. The purpose of the program is diverse. On one hand, we have platforms and technology available for these companies. So the idea is to start working together and that they use some of our core assets. On the other hand, we have technical support. Our team of experts provide them with personalized support to develop their solution together. Then we have the possibility of carrying out pilots with Telefónica's B2B end customers, or even becoming one of our business partners. This is the success path for them, but also for us. This is a win-win solution. And also, thanks to the collaboration of Wayra, they also receive additional benefits for being part of the ecosystem in terms of investments, analyzing the potential they have to invest as Wayra, analyze it, having special offers and discounts on various tools and free credits, and then having the contacts with the different Wayra hubs all the world around. But with these benefits, what we get in the end of the program, well, this 3rd edition is being really successful in many senses. In the sense of collaboration and deploying a partnership ecosystem, we already have success cases to share. Probably the most impacting one this year was the case of smart sports that came by the hand of Humanox, which is a startup that came into the program in the second edition. This is a clear example of digital transformation, digital acceleration, and how an industry that is already transforming and that probably was not on the map of everyone for this year is leading a transformation path from a sports analytic perspective. I would love to share with you this short video that shows how this company works and what's the key value of their solution. It's just a minute. Enjoy.
Sandra, we can hear you. So this was just an example of what we did with our customers. This is the beginning of a new vertical line, of a new core product also for sports analytics that thanks to our previous experience with the sports industry and various sports, together with the capacities and the new technologies that come with this kind of companies that join us from these innovation ecosystems, we are now able to offer our end customers solutions that not only improve the performance of the football players, but also the engagement with the fans, the analytics that the club has to take scouting decisions, financial decisions, training decisions, competition preparation. So this is something that show us that not always is so evident to make transformation, but there is possibilities of innovation at every single industry. Other focus for us in this 2020 year, 2020, is agro industry for industrial agro solutions, drone solutions, vertical industrial solutions. And we are convinced that we will be very successful thanks overall to the partner ecosystems we are building together. So despite the fact that digital transformation and technologies such as the IoT, big data, cloud, cybersecurity, artificial intelligence are already a reality, there are new challenges that we must address. This COVID area is boosting companies towards the digital transformation path, and many of them with a lot of experience and track records. Others diving into this digital work after this macroeconomic impulse. The first challenge I would like to mention is technological accessibility. Different technical applications created on the new standards are needed, and a new deployment of networks at different type levels as well. Number two is standardization and interoperability. We have to find solutions that do not depend on who is selling them. with standards that also allows a common language, which is not always the case. There is a shortage of experts, professionals in these new fields, IoT, big data, artificial intelligence. And the changes we are addressing in society bring with them significant social and political implications. Digital disruption should not leave anyone behind. Inequality is a great challenge. Creativity, imagination, intuition, emotion, compassion, and ethics cannot be digitalized. We have addressed the previously mentioned challenges by building relationships of trust with our customers. And this is what we have learned from our customers who do not change just because they have technological reasons. They tend to change because they trust, and they know we can and will be your side through your journey of transformation. From industrialized product to consulting capabilities, we have the commitment to our customers of transforming processes and keep them evolving. And what keeps Telefónica leading the fields of IoT and artificial intelligence now gives us the opportunity of showing everything together thanks to the unification of the IoT and big data areas. So this is the end of this short presentation, but there is much more to come because new technologies like 5G or blockchain are opening up a new world of opportunities. Also a new mindset in which we are all more aware every day. As more data is processed, we become more visible at all levels. And digital means transparency and requires trust, as I was telling you. So this is the IoT and artificial intelligence path that we are building at Telefónica. In this path that connects us with everything we dream of and that makes us want to be better, each one individually, but also together. So don't be ready, be part of the digital acceleration run that has already started. Stay safe, stay connected, stay transforming. Thank you very much.
Sandra, thank you very much for this excellent presentation. We feel honored to have companies of the excellence and knowledge of Telefónica. And this has been a perspective of some of the leading technologies by one of the leading companies like Telefónica, and a bit of a perspective of the Spanish situation in digital transformation. After this, the logic would be to give the floor to an expert that can give us a UK perspective. This is going to be Phil Young. Phil Young is the head of strategic policy delivery from Digital Catapult, and the title of his speech is going to be Accelerating the Adoption of Advanced Digital Technologies. Remember that the UK is at the forefront of innovation in digital transformation. Digital transformation is very present in the industrial strategy of the UK government. And Digital Catapult is one of the 9 technology centres developed by the UK government with private and public initiatives. Phil Young is he was named in Forbes 30 under 30 in 2016 and has a strong background in technology, startup and innovation policy. He's going to give an overview of Digital Catapult, some of the innovation initiatives from the UK government over the past few years, and coming up, and the snapshot of why international collaboration is so important for the UK. Collaboration between Spain and the UK in innovation is one of the key priorities of our committee. Thank you, Phil. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Eva, and thank you to everyone. Hopefully you can all see me okay, and I'll probably share my screen very shortly. But thank you, first of all, to the British Chambers of Commerce for inviting me today, and Lewis, as well as Hugh Elliott and the British Embassy, and of course, thank you to Sandra for her previous speech, which was very interesting and great to see what Telefónica and have been doing in Spain. It's fantastic. So I'm just going to share my screen, so just bear with me one moment. Okay. Hopefully, can you all see that?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. So as Eva said, I am the head of strategic policy delivery at Digital Catapult. My role is predominantly working very closely with the UK government and essentially helping to design, build and advise on the creation of national innovation programs and acceleration programs that help to overcome market and capability failures within the UK. A lot of that is to do with digital transformation, digital adoption, and helping to overcome the barriers for supply and demand to come together. So really, that's what Digital Catapult is all about. Very much at the leading edge, much like the stuff that Sandra just mentioned. We're very much looking at the early adoption of advanced digital technologies in the UK. So this is really at the leading edge of technology. We are part of a catapult network, which is made up of 9 catapults, which span a whole range of different industries and sectors, from high value manufacturing catapult through to energy systems and satellite applications and a whole range of others. A lot of those catapults are very vertical specific. Digital Catapult is for obvious reasons quite horizontal in many ways, and as a result, the main focus for ourselves, although we do focus on sectoral and industrial challenges to try and ground technology, our main focus is how do we connect supply and demand, and we do that through a number of different ways, which I'll talk through shortly. We have joint policy responsibility, which essentially means that our budget part of our budget comes through 2 departments. The UK's Digital Culture, Media and Sport Department, which of course looks after digital policy, but also 5G policy and digital infrastructure policy as well as the Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy Department, which we work very closely with the Future Sectors team, exploring new sectors of the economy that are looking to grow, and also the application of these technologies into different sectors. And we have a split funding model, which is similar to the Fraunhofers in Germany, which is we get our core grant from the UK government. We also get funding from commercial and industry funding as well from sort of private enterprise. And we also work collaboratively with a number of different organizations, from academia to startups to industry, on collaborative R&D grants, which includes European grants and elsewhere as well, which is more broad. So our role with that sort of funding model means that we play quite a neutral, independent role that brings all different parts of the UK ecosystem together, as well as international players and international partners as well. So we work with a range of different stakeholders, as you can see in this diagram, around research and academia. We work closely with government, corporate and industry, accelerators, investors, startups and scale-ups, and also interface and act as the interface into the digital sector, so the sort of startups and scale-ups and tech companies for the rest of the Catapult network as well. So we do work closely with them, looking at ways that they can engage into that ecosystem. And our neutrality allows us to play a very important role within this ecosystem, where we can act as a trusted advisor to all the different components, help to provide technical assurance and provide insights and ideas of ways that they can de-risk and overcome things that will help to grow the UK economy and sectors within the UK economy. So what do we mean when we talk about advanced digital technologies? Really what we're talking about is a range of different leading edge technologies that span future networks, which is a big program for us around 5G, the Internet of Things and edge devices, where you have sort of analytics and things like that on device, all the way through to things like low-powered wide area networks as well, where we're kind of exploring what that means for the future of IoT deployments. We also look at immersive technologies, so virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality, and also haptics, so being able to feel an immersive environment. Artificial intelligence and machine learning, which is, I suppose, self-explanatory, but we're working primarily with the supply side of small innovative companies in that space. And distributed systems, which is everything that includes blockchain, distributed ledger technologies, and everything in between for trust and provenance within data. And the reason we look at these technologies in their sort of different silos, but also in their combination, is because we see these merging and combining into what we describe as an advanced digital technology stack in the future. This is very much on the horizon. It's something that large tech companies are already starting to identify through things like maps and geospatial locations, and you'll probably see in a few years Apple's AR glasses and things like that coming through. And the way we view it is that there are fundamental building blocks to that, which we describe as advanced digital infrastructure, which is where you bring together artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, and 5G or future iterations of connectivity and networks. Possibly in the future, including quantum computing, in particular on the software side, to enable this. And what that acts as is this sort of digital infrastructure layer that allows extended reality and augmented reality to take place, blockchain and DLT to be run at scale, robotics, cobotics, and autonomous machines, so perhaps even autonomous vehicles, drones, all those sort of things. And brain-computer interfaces is a possibility as we move forward as well, where there is direct neural connectivity to machines. So you can move a cursor, but you could also use a mechanized robotic suit to walk, again, as we've seen in a few examples in medical labs in recent years. And what we believe is that all of those things are going to converge into the capability building around digital twins, which is the virtual replica of a physical environment, spatial computing, which is the layering of information over a physical environment, virtual production, which is really about remote operations and being able to produce either content or goods or assets virtually, and utilizing a range of different digital techniques. And resilient environments, which is very much about operational efficiency and tracking and tracing and improving sustainability goals. To do this, we build and operate physical and digital facilities that wouldn't exist without our investment. So we have a range of labs and facilities in the UK with partners and sponsors that range from startups to academia to large corporates who showcase their technologies there and their solutions, as well as test beds like our 5G test bed, so we can enable and upskill companies to utilize 5G technologies and ways that they can work. We also design and deliver national innovation programs, which, as I said, are often designed in a way that overcomes capability or market failures. So how do we bridge supply and demand in traditional sectors where we're looking at, for example, manufacturing? How do we make sure that slow-moving manufacturers who perhaps are sort of lower along, not far enough along on their digital journey, how do we connect them to some of the leading edge technology companies? And finally, we convene and collaborate research and development. That's both on a national level as well as a regional and international level as well. So we do often conduct collaborative R&D with a number of different partners. So in general terms, I suppose just a very brief overview of what the UK government is doing in this space. Just to sort of add the caveat that I don't represent the government, but we sort of sit to one side of it and we work very closely with it. But the UK government have been doing a lot of this stuff over the recent years. There's been a significant investment and significant focus on digitalization, on adoption, and really helping to boost the productivity cycle for the UK. There's a real challenge that the UK has felt for a number of years. Well, there are a few challenges. One is that we typically only spend around about 1.7% of our GDP on R&D, and we would like to get it up to 2.4 to 2.7%, so that we can compete with the likes of the US and Germany on R&D activity. So that's a big push for us. As well as some of the challenges around acquisitions of some of our leading startups and scale-ups by other companies, other countries, and ensuring that we have a bridge between our sort of various organizations to make that happen. So to do that, the UK government invested in the industrial strategy in November 2017, significant strategy that wrapped around a lot of innovation and R&D activities for the UK, a £1.7 billion investment, which included grand challenges and sector deals, which included things like the artificial intelligence sector deal, and the Made Smarter sector deal, which was around our Industry 4.0 program, as an example. There's also been investments of £1 billion into 5G mobile networks and full fibre broadband through the 5G testbeds and trials program, which Digital Catapult plays a quite fundamental role in, working very closely with DCMS, the Digital Culture, Media and Sport Department, to help drive the adoption of 5G as early as possible in the cycle, in the view that obviously it will enable a lot of this physical internet capability to exist and grow. And we work actually very closely with Telefónica and Wira on one of those programs in the Midlands in the UK. We're looking at how 5G will enable a city-wide range of products and services to be developed, and helping to accelerate startups in that space as well. AI, we've invested into the Office for AI, which is a joint government department between the two departments I've already mentioned. The Centre for Data Ethics and Innovation, CDEI, which is all about ethical approaches to data and AI. The Alan Turing Institute, which is our preeminent national research centre for AI, as well as our own Machine Intelligence Garage, which is our startup acceleration program and facility, which allows startups and scale-ups to access low cost computation power to help train their algorithms, which can cost a significant amount of money and put them at hindrance and slow their scaling, as well as a number of AI PhD centres and doctoral centres of excellence. As I mentioned, the Catapult Network has been around since 2011, and we've directed over £2.5 billion of private and public sector investment into cutting edge industrial research as well. So we're sort of fundamental building block to that. And moving forward, the UK government is focusing on a digital technology-led COVID-19 recovery. In April, the Chancellor announced a £1.25 billion coronavirus package. We also are looking to level up the UK's regions, so develop a programme of infrastructure development, investing in education skills and scientific R&D across the country. There is a commitment to doubling government investment into innovation and R&D to £22 billion per year within 5 years. So a real commitment of interest from this government in R&D and innovation as an underpinning core capability for the UK. And recently, Alok Sharma, who's our Secretary of State for the Business Department, recently announced an R&D roadmap, which will be developed into a strategy, which is around prioritising the building of strong bilateral relationships for R&D and innovation, as well as goal of strengthening our international R&D and other elements of R&D across the country. Really important for international collaboration and partnerships, looking to build new strategic collaborations and support existing ones with the world's leading research nations and emerging science nations as well. And there's definitely a role for us to work closely together with lots of different countries. For obvious reasons, having left the European Union, this is of particular importance to us to make sure that we maintain and build those relationships and have deeper relationships with the likes of countries like Spain as we move forward. I won't go into detail, but there's also a new digital strategy for the UK and a data strategy, which is launching this year, and a new data strategy for the UK, which is just launched. So I would encourage you to take a look at what that looks like as well. So finally, the importance of working with international partners is incredibly vital for Digital Catapult. And for our work with the UK government. As I mentioned, the UK government has a real interest in establishing these bilateral relationships, in particular at the moment with leading European countries, including Spain. And I've had a number of conversations with the embassy and various organisations in Spain. And I would encourage anyone, if they are interested, to please reach out. And I'm very happy to have conversations with anyone who is interested in learning more about our work. But we work with the UK government on a number of initiatives. We work with the Department for International Trade, the Foreign and Commonwealth Office, and as I said, DCMS and BEIS, the Business and Digital Departments, to promote export opportunities and attract inward investment in the UK. And we're a mechanism for international innovation. And my role within Digital Catapult is to help set out international innovation activities and grow our work internationally as well over the next few years. And we've built collaborations in various sectors and focus areas. And we've designed and delivered something which we call the Digital Catapult Global Challenge. At the moment, we're delivering our first full one, which is the UK-Germany Innovation Challenge, which is essentially an innovation challenge and R&D pitching activity where we bring together corporates. So in the case of Germany, we're working with Siemens and with CHEP Europe, which is a sort of pallet company who sort of ships lots of goods around the EU. What we do is we work closely with those corporates to identify and understand their challenges, match that to innovation and technology capabilities that may exist in either country. So in this case, we're working with a partner on the ground in Germany to identify German startups, and we've identified UK startups who can meet those challenges. And then what we were doing is we run a range of pitching competitions between those companies to the solution, to pitch their solutions to specific to that challenge to those corporates. And we announced UK and German winners in that respect, but also that could apply to any country that we would be looking to work with. And we've done a similar sort of thing within Canada as well. So it's a collaborative exercise to foster collaboration between the innovation ecosystems on both sides, as well as bridging and creating links between corporate challenges and startup innovation, of which we have an exceptionally strong network of over 3,800 companies in the UK working in this space, which sounds low, but that's the entirety almost of the technology areas that we're working in, and it's particularly strong in the UK as well. Finally, I'm very interested in hearing from anyone around collaborative research and development projects. Always happy to explore what that means and how we can work together through either previous mechanisms as we move forward or future mechanisms as well. We also drive and do missions into with our tech experts. We have 150 staff in the UK, a range of those across all of the technology areas, as well as innovation and acceleration experts and policy experts, such as myself. And we showcase at key global events. We've come to Barcelona a number of times for MWC, and we have visited a number of different events across Europe and in Spain over the years as well as further afield. So that brings me to a close, and yeah, please do drop me a line. Very happy to speak to anybody. And again, thank you very much for having me today, and really interested in seeing ways that we can collaborate with Spain further. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Phil. I really appreciate the power of concision in which you've been able to give us a very thorough picture of what is going on in the UK, and a testimony of the importance for the UK government and for the private industry to invest and develop collaboration with other countries. And we hope that there is soon a sign of collaboration between Spain and the UK. And I already announced that at the end of the session, we will have the British ambassador who will give also a testimonial of how important for the mission of the British government in Spain is innovation as well. And I'd like to introduce the next speaker, who is Paloma Castellano. She's the head of WIDA Spain, and they've got beautiful offices in Madrid, where we hope that we soon will be able to do face-to-face events. She's computer science engineer from Complutense University in Madrid, as well as executive MBA from IE. Paloma is, as I said, director of WIDA in Madrid, which is Telefónica's innovation hub, created in 2011, which is currently present in 10 countries, one of them the UK, with 11 hubs. Paloma has helped to scale more than 50 startups and has created a great amount of experience launching and managing innovative products. We feel honored to have Paloma, who will be introducing a roundtable with the presence of two very different companies and their experiences in digital transformation. Paloma, let me just say for a few seconds that we're running with a bit of delay. We think that the webinar is very interesting. We appreciate the patience and that the fans don't have to go and can accompany us until the end of the session, and remind them that there will be an opportunity for questions from the audience through the chat. Paloma, all yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Eva. Thank you very much for having us here today. So before I introduce the panelists, I would like to make some logistic remarks for today, we will have a space for questions and answers from our panelists and also from Sandra and Phil. So if you want to raise any questions, please write them in the chat in this room, and I will ask them for the panelists at the end of the panel. Okay, so before I introduce the panelists, I would like to make some reflections. So if we have learned anything from this year, it is how fragile hardware is. So in April, UK online grocery sales doubled, but as we all know, there were other companies that got deeply affected by the crisis. The effects have been very unevenly distributed. In a normal economic shock, the pain would have been concentrated on companies that were weakly managed or were not prepared for the future. But during this COVID crisis, the pain has unfairly concentrated in some specific sectors. So it didn't matter how well managed the companies were. Crisis affected heavily to bars, restaurants, travel, clothing. So in Guaira, we are the open innovation arm of Telefónica. In our open innovation role, we have to envision the future and make bets on the startups that can be anti-fragile. Anti-fragile, as Nassim Taleb says, anti-fragile because they can grow and become stronger in adverse environments. To build anti-fragile innovation ecosystems, we believe that collaboration between startups and corporates is a must. Today, we are going to learn about open innovation ecosystem from the very best people that we have. So we have virtually connected two great representatives from two different worlds, corporate world and startup scene. So let me introduce you to Jose Maria Gallardo from Iberdrola. Jose Maria, if you say hi, so everyone can see your face.
Hi.
Okay, so well, Iberdrola has over 170 years of history and is now a global energy leader. It's number one, I admire about that, is the number one producer of wind power worldwide and one of the world's biggest electricity utilities by market capitalization. Iberdrola is the most innovative Spanish utility and the third in the world in terms of research and development. Jose Maria is the innovation manager in the corporate innovation at Iberdrola. He's responsible of the technological perspective, supporting the business units in all aspects of disruptive technologies. And I will come to you later, but let me introduce first to Ricardo Varela from Localistico. Localistico is the leading platform for online to offline marketing analytics. They work with brands like Inditex, Resol, Telefónica, Starbucks, helping us manage our store information and analytics across online and offline platforms. Localistico is based in London, but has also an office in Madrid and was actually one of the startups taking part of our Guaira UK program some time ago. So Ricardo is the founder and CEO, and he knows a lot about the startups and corporations because previously he has worked in companies such as Microsoft, Yahoo, Google, as well as Telefónica. And well, let's start. So Jose Maria, let me start with you. Technology has become a crucial factor for the continuity of industrial activity during the health crisis. So how has Iberdrola adapted during this pandemic?
Thank you, Paloma, and thanks to the British Chamber of Commerce in Spain for the invite. And I'm happy to be here to participate in this amazing panel. First of all, as an essential service company, our priority in responding to the crisis was to guarantee the electricity supply, especially in hospital, health centers, and other essential services. And secondly, by supporting our stakeholders, like customers, supplying energy to near 100 million people around the world, and now more than ever by making payments more flexible and helping the most vulnerable groups. Or suppliers advancing order and increasing investment, and also employees and society in general. And digitalization has played a fundamental role in Iberdrola's global response to the COVID-19. For example, At the start of the pandemic, Iberdrola was able to build a prediction model for demand loss in less than a week due to Iberdrola's auto machine learning platform and also employee training. The exceptional situation caused by the coronavirus has revealed the importance of the new technologies in our daily lives. Technology has become a crucial factor for competitiveness and success in all industries. The companies that have invested most in digitalization are those that are suffering the least. As is the case of Iberdrola, a pioneer of digital transformation with a big investment. So 4.8 million between 2008 and 2022 in its program of innovation and digital transformation. The challenge caused by the COVID-19 has highlighted the importance of investment in this technology and the work done today in Iberdrola. The pandemic has demonstrated that all the investment made by companies like Iberdrola in digitalization makes sense. Companies like ours that had started the digital transformation years ago had easier to deal with this situation compared to others organizations with less experience and investment in technology and innovation. So particularly in Iberdrola, these investments have allowed, for example, the remote management of our infrastructure, network generation and renewables through the automatization of the control centers. Our service is essential for the society. This point has been critical to maintain the security of supply. Or, for example, employees have learned to work in a different way. The use of collaborative tools is transforming the way we are communicating and interacting. With 95% of the people that are working from the day to day, we have increased more than 2,000% in video conference. We made a firm commitment to our suppliers so they could secure all the services that were not available. The supply provided this support provided to these services companies has allowed us to not have problems with our customers. And the relationship with our clients, we established measures for special and vulnerable groups. Today, there are technologies that allow it, and we can reach customers more easily than a few years ago. Taking advantage of this, we have offered our customer a flexible payment plan to make it easier for them to adapt to the new condition. Finally, I was wanted to mention that we have held a general stakeholder meeting remotely. That's thanks to the digitalization.
Okay, that's great. I think that COVID has shown that it has made more for digitalization than any CIO in companies. So that's a bad joke. Okay, so let's move to Ricardo from Localistico. So Ricardo, I made a very brief introduction. I'm not asking Jose Maria to tell what Iberdrola does because everyone knows. I would love you to tell us a bit more about Localistico. So what do you do?
Thank you for asking. By the way, we actually are like a bit of an invisible company. We're purely B2B. So you mentioned before we work with Telefónica and we work with Starbucks. If any of you has tried to search for the closest Starbucks ever, like if you're somewhere in Madrid, basically you would have tried to search in Google Maps or Apple Maps or Bing or Yelp or something like that. We put them there. So basically every time Starbucks opens a new Starbucks, we place them across all the online channels. And then we gather analytics about what's happening. So we try to tell Starbucks which is the most searched Starbucks, which one received more phone calls, which has had more footfall, etc. So we basically do analytics and marketing, but for brick and mortar shops, right? This sounds kind of boring because it's brick and mortar, but so you know, and as we have actually experienced during coronavirus, most retailers, most fashion brands, most restaurants make 90+ of their revenue % in a physical shop. So basically, what happened now actually with all this crisis was that because the shops were closed, a lot of the revenues went basically pivoting down. And what we try to basically help brands with is to communicate those things, right? Even if you have a shop closed, you still have to tell your customer, oh, this shop is not open, or maybe redirect to the online channel or things like that, right? So what we're trying to bring is that digitalization to an area that is traditionally really, really old. Like if you think about that for the shops, Telefónica still does like amazing e-commerce, and we do advertising and we do all these wonderful things. But if you try to market a shop, you still do posters and pamphlets, right, in the 21st century. So this doesn't make much sense. So we try to add this bit of technology to help them make sense of all of that.
Okay, Ricardo, and well, this is from your business has been very affected. I mean, the customers that you have been very affected. Have you noticed any recovery? Because I guess that you are very close to them, so you can watch the searches. So have you noticed any recovery over there?
Actually, the good thing is that there is some recovery. So during the crisis, obviously, it was very violent, so to say, for everybody, because in a given month, when the whole closures started, we work across different countries in Europe. In Spain, as you know, it was like a total closure. So it went from basically went spiking down very, very fast. So we could see that because we got the analytics from the stores. And exactly, there were people that went literally 90% down, 80% down really fast when the closings happened. However, when the whole openings started by phases, and currently with the whole recovery in September, people coming back from holiday, I think people had like an extended summer. We are seeing that we are still not what we were last year, but 60, 70% up, considering that we were pretty much minus 60 and minus 70. I think it's kind of a big recovery. And that is actually very good news for like a lot of verticals. It depends, of course, on the vertical. I think retail is doing better, but for example, hotels still not there. That's going to be a bit complex, but there's some recovery.
Okay, good news, at least some hope in the horizon. So, well, we're here to talk about open innovation. So I guess that you both have experiences in open innovation. So I would like to listen from the different perspective, from the corporate to the startup world. So Jose Maria, I will start with you. So how has been your experience working with startups in Iberdrola? Are you on mute?
Yes. I was mute. So Iberdrola has strong ties to the startup work through Perseo. It's our ventures arm and incubation program. Iberdrola, together with several companies in the Spanish energy sector, for example, promote the POSIT energy. I don't know if you have heard about this. This is an initiative to mitigate the impact of the coronavirus. It seeks through innovation model, to open innovation model, to support a startup in the development of projects from the energy perspective and in the areas of decarbonation. So environmental sustainability, mobility, social impact, digitalization, telecommunication, and also industry 4.0. The Positive Energy Platform has selected 14 innovative projects from among 300, I think almost 400 proposals received to contribute to the economic and society recovery from COVID-19 and from the energy sector in particular.
Okay, perfect. So, well, here at Telefónica, we have this open innovation program. Ricardo was part of that. So I would love that you tell your experience working with corporates, not only Telefónica, but the rest that you are giving service to, such as Inditex, for example.
Yeah. So I think on this regard, the good thing, as you said before, if you have to take any positives with the negatives about the whole crisis, is that everybody had like an accelerated learning. Like I think probably everybody on this call has experienced at least 3 different video conference systems over the last and has learned to do things like, I think you're muted. So for me, this is kind of an accelerator and we have to try to do the most of it. So in our case, for example, it had a negative in the case of some of our companies suffered a bit because they work on retail. But at the same time, they also realized that they have to digitalize everything, including shop management, right? So you have an entire structure in most retailers, from like central marketing all the way to the area managers, all the way to the shop managers. And because of the way that the whole pandemic has been managed, some countries opened when others were still closed. Some regions opened while others were still closed. So basically using our entire organization to kind of make those decisions about are we opening or closing a given shop helps us basically be better. And that is very simple if you have the communication mechanisms in place. Working remotely, like everybody has been doing these days, is very simple if you already have the mechanisms in place, right? I think I mentioned before that we have 2 offices, one in London and one in Madrid, but our employees are actually distributed in 9 countries. We were basically remote from the beginning. So the idea is that for us, that kind of disruption in the day-to-day was less. And I think that acceleration is something that we all have to take advantage of, right? And I think it's not only, by the way, technology, it's also having the right organization in place. So if there's basically any corporates here that are not doing corporate innovation or talking to startups, my message is go and talk to a couple, or actually buy a couple even, because I think they're going to actually recycle your way of working. Like, I think you need basically to work with these kind of people, because our staticism, our inertia of how we work is something that you can reboot. Because again, most of the modern companies are very used to remote work, to video conferences, to do basically everything without being in an office. And I think that's something that not only is acquiring a product for a startup, it's also acquiring a way of working, which is this always discovering, always trying things. And that's the part that has to probably stick in an organization right now, even if you're a very large organization like in Telefónica, literally.
Yeah. No, in fact, I have been working with startups and for startups for nearly 10 years now. And the things that I have learned from you all, from the startups, has been a boost in my career, to be honest. So, Jose Maria, you were telling before, because I like this issue about how we have all adapted to remote working. So you were raising before that you have remote management. So what has happened with Iberdrola during this crisis? How well did you adapt it? Are you still working from home? Is this something that is happening in Iberdrola?
In fact, I'm now working from home.
Yeah, I can see.
I mean, all the employees are back in the office working. We have established a lot of measures. So we have a protocol in that case, establishing distances and wearing masks and everything. So yes, I think we are all in our offices, at least here in Spain. That's not the case for our colleagues in the UK or in the US or even in Brazil. So most of them are working from home.
Okay, so Ricardo, and this is the tricky question that I have for you, because when you chose to launch your startup, you decided to go to London and not stay in Madrid, for example. So can you highlight the differences, or what made you choose to go to London?
Yep. So well done in putting me on the spot. The UK, I think when we were working there, UK is has the best ecosystem right now, I think, in Europe still. It's like the ideal bridge between, in our type of business, for example, we work B2B. So we have partners that are mostly US companies and UK companies. We had to still work in Europe. So London used to be that connection bit between the US and Europe. So you have still access to everybody in the East Coast and West Coast. You still have access in Europe relatively easy. It was very welcoming in terms of it's very easy to start a company. It's very easy to do paperwork. It has an existing innovation ecosystem, such as, for example, a setup of Wira, has got Google there, Facebook there, a lot of financing. So the idea was that was the best place to do that bridge. Of course, this remains to be seen what happens in 2021 after basically there's changes in policy. And for me, it's still the most mature ecosystem, but there are others, as you know, probably Germany is doing great, Netherlands is doing amazing, Spain with Madrid and Barcelona is doing incredible. And remember that also as remote work comes along, when people are not taking in-person meetings, being close to the Google office, for example, is less important. And maybe you want to be close to the beach in Barcelona instead. So the idea is that I think this could be changing, but right now I think UK is the most advanced ecosystem in Europe. The idea is how do we keep that position?
Okay. Well, and not only the beach in Barcelona, but also the amazing places that we have in Madrid. For sure.
I was just giving one example, actually. I think
no. I'm just kidding.
People that haven't been in Spain, by the way, Madrid and Barcelona are both like really lovely, but in different ways. So people really love one or love the others, or both. So.
No, okay. So let's come back to open innovation and disruptive technologies when working with startups. So are they mature enough? So from your perspective, Jose Maria, when you work with startups, are they mature enough to enter into large organizations such as Telefónica, Iberdrola?
I think if we are talking about disruptive technologies, of course, these new technologies such as artificial intelligence, IoT, big data, 5G, or even blockchain are all mature and ready for deployment. Just a few of them, like quantum computing, still have a long way to go. So, I mean, despite a century of research, the quantum world still remains mysterious. But even with this nascent technology, we can already find interesting use cases. Mm-hmm. We already have disruptive technologies that are increasingly efficient, sustainable, and environmentally friendly, allowing optimization in the operation of facilities and processes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, perfect. So, well, sorry, I lost my my notes. So, well, there's some issue that 2020 has seemed to change the spotlight of some issues. So we are all worried now about health, but we should not forget very important items for our lives. So let me take advantage that Jose Maria is here and ask him some question about the energy transition. Because, well, we already know that you know a lot about this, as Iberdrola is leading wind energy production, but let's talk about digitalization and the energy transition. So could new technologies help us in the transition to new, less polluting energy systems?
Yeah, I think this is not only a Iberdrola point of view. I mean, we were pioneer on the renewable sector. But, for example, according to the paper published by the World Economic Forum regarding the digital transformation, the electricity sector is ripe for realizing value from rapid digital transformation. And they estimate that more than 1 trillion of euros of value to be captured globally from 2016 and 2025. So digital technologies have the potential to be a key driver of decarbonization development. Mm-hmm. So it is necessary to increase the resources allocated to digitalization and investment in technology, as well as support for sustainable innovation to reactive the economy.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, well, I wanted to make this panel quite quick so that we can make some place for the audience to raise questions. But let me ask you both a final question. So, what do you expect from 2021? Because I think that 2020 has not proven any good thing so far. So, which are your hopes and your expectations in your areas?
I think looking ahead, investment in digitalization, we have to focus, for example, on optimizing operation to make them more resilient, providing artificial intelligence, for example, for the digital channel to serve customers, and also ensuring the security of all the connections. I think it's very important to explore the new changes on the technology field and establish a strong strategy and digital culture in the companies. In Iberdrola, for example, our human resources are taking another step in digitalization to be simpler, efficient, and agile. So, for example, for next year, they are including a training catalog activities related to methodologies like agile, design thinking, and technologies such as artificial intelligence or robotics. And also they are launching a global digital mentoring program to foster the cultural transformation. So, for example, this program serves as a catalyst to accelerate and expand the development of skill necessary for the process of digital transformation in Iberdrola. So creating opportunities for knowledge transfer and collaborative work.
Okay, so Ricardo, so if you have any closing remarks for this panel?
Yeah, on my side, basically, if I could ask everybody to do something, would be to rise to the challenge a bit better. I think this whole crisis has obviously been like a health crisis, but we are not like unlucky like this being like a war or something like that. Most of the crisis has been our lack of preparation or our lack of response. And I think this has been at all levels. This has been we as a society, this has been politicians, this has been, of course, corporations and organizations. So because this is all new, we all need to like adapt and we all need to learn. And I think in the typical startup way, it's just to move fast and break things. And I think the important part about the disruptive technologies that you mentioned is remember that corporations don't innovate because sometimes we're not very prepared to break things. And remember that trying to be disruptive and trying to innovate and not breaking some things in the way is almost impossible. It's like going to a very relaxed punk rock concert. There's not such a thing. So you're going to have to, basically we're going to have to learn and we're going to have to team up and rise to that challenge, because I think otherwise this is going to be like, there will be another event like this one, then we're not going to be prepared, right?
I could not agree more. So we use, normally when we are presenting internal workshops about innovation in Telefónica, we normally use the image of a dragon from Game of Thrones. So it's like, it doesn't matter how well armed your army, you have the best armed army in Westeros, because if a dragon appears, you have nothing to do. So be prepared for disruption. Innovation is a question of survival. You have to, the only way to defeat a dragon is to have a dragon inside. And this is not easy inside corporations. So open innovation is the way to rise dragons. So I have loved this panel. It's like very different worlds, but working together. So thank you very much for sharing. I'm going to ask Sandra and Phil, please to join us now. So please unmute and put your cameras on if you can, because I'm going to have some questions from the audience. So wow, we have a lot of questions. So let's make this happen. So remember that you can also raise questions for Phil and Sandra. So well, we have a question talking about innovation policies between ecosystems in UK and Spain. So which are the best practices in innovation policies in both countries? So we can start with Jose Maria, if you want.
Okay, I think we are sharing our practices. I belong to global innovation, so I'm working closely with my colleagues from different countries, like the UK, for example, and we are sharing the same, I mean, tricky things in this war, and we are happy to learn from both countries, in this case from the UK and from Spain.
Okay, so Ricardo or Phil, that you are an expert in this.
So from my side, for example, one of the things that I think the Spanish government is contemplating that is already very well installed in the UK is the whole like early start of the startup. So when you're actually at the beginning, I think the UK is doing great at, for example, things like the SEIS and EIS programs to foster like early investment in startups, the way that they deal with the stock options and making basically that longer term more rewarding to everybody that is an employee actually in a startup. And then the fact that the whole culture and the whole networking is there. So there's lots of initiatives where you can speak with more advanced people, because the idea is that ecosystems are done by waves, right? So you get the first wave and the second and the third, and maybe the people that participated in a previous wave, so what in Spain, for example, could have been 20 as a company, then they go and they start new companies. So they mentor new companies, right? So UK, I think, is more advanced than most other ecosystems in the sense that they are probably on a fourth wave or something like that of companies. Every other ecosystem in Europe could kind of copy those things, I think, from UK. And the other part that UK could copy from the rest is how are we going to keep that open innovation and that connection with the rest of Europe? Because for most startups, basically UK is not your market, Europe is your market. So the idea is how do we keep that connection in a way that is very easy for companies to operate across all of Europe?
Okay, so well, I'm going to mix this question. So keep on keep on answering that because some of the questions are in the same line. So this is a very specific one on Brexit. So is there any evidence of Brexit being a barrier for startups? Will the UK be less attractive for the startup ecosystem after the 1st of January of next year? So, and I can summarize that in one question for Ricardo. So, do you think that taking into account remote working and the Brexit, would you make the same decision of going to London with Localistico?
Goodness. So I think it depends. As I said, right now, I think the UK is still the most attractive ecosystem in Europe. However, for example, if you had to open a company literally today, I think you would have second thoughts about what do you do, if only because of the uncertainty, right? And I think this combines two uncertainties. Remember, we have Brexit. We don't know what's going to happen next year with the whole regulation. The government is also not exactly communicating in the best way, I feel. Like, I think they're doing their best. It's just that that communication is not good enough. Plus the whole uncertainty about coronavirus. I think with the combination of these two things, it can make people, if you had to do it this week, you probably will think twice. In my opinion, it's still like the best ecosystem, but everybody's got, like, you know, second thoughts, I think.
Okay, so Phil, please give us some light on what's happening with the Brexit and the startups and
I knew I was pinned with this question. Well, look, you know, the UK is a fantastic ecosystem, as Ricardo said, and would I encourage anyone to set up a startup in the UK? Absolutely. It's got a significant amount of venture capitalist activity. It's got a ready-made market, and there is significant support mechanisms in place to help scale your company. So it is, you know, as Ricardo rightly says, it's a fantastic ecosystem. Of course, you know, there are challenges expected through a coronavirus that I think is facing every country in the world at the moment, and trying to navigate that, it is difficult, and I would say that you know, if you are looking in the immediate sense of exporting, you may want to think about what that means in a virtual sense rather than necessarily a physical sense anyway. But that being said, in terms of Brexit and the UK's decision to leave the European Union, the government's commitment, and indeed the commitment of organisations like Digital Catapult, is innovation and R&D is very much at the top of the agenda. It's the sort of very forefront of government strategy and activity, and that is not just clustered in the UK. That is clustered all around the world, including Spain and the EU, and continuing and building those relationships with partner countries and partner organisations and startups, and is very much a priority for this government and for a number of different organisations that underpin the UK ecosystem.
Okay, and while I have some questions around the constraints imposed on individuals moving to the UK. So, which would be the impact of the new immigration bill? In any case, remote working, I'm just reading that. Remote working does not get around cross-border billing. So what do you think? What are your views about attracting talent into an ecosystem that is so vivid as London? How would this bill impact? So, well, the only question was for Phil, but let's make Ricardo answer this one from the startup perspective, because I don't want to put you anywhere else.
I think we're importing like all sorts of talent to the UK. In startups specifically, I think this is going to be delicate. Like if you go to basically any startup hub, that could be Wira, that could be Seedcamp, that could be Google Campus, and you look around, more than 50% of the people there are not from the UK. So I think there's a certain thing about people moving and being called by the whole idea of innovation to the UK, but in startups I'm talking only, by the way. So these companies tend to be like, we you've already moved countries, so why not do this startup thing? And I think it tends to be very international. So that is delicate, because if whatever ends up being the conclusion of that doesn't allow people like me, for example, to come to the country and start a company, then it's going to be tricky. That said, I don't think the UK government are going to shoot themselves in the foot in that way. So hopefully the measures that will be put in place will continue to allow that. But as I said, if you go to any startup hub, look around, more than 50% of the people are not from the UK.
Yeah, for sure. So, well, are there any plans for new innovation bridges between the UK and Spain? So, can you project the future? Feel? Do you have any idea on that?
I mean, just to speak to the previous question, I'm not really an expert in that space either. I don't represent the UK government, just to be clear as well. But
yeah, no, I know.
But from my perspective, as Ricardo said, it would, again, just to reiterate, innovation and R&D and activity and talent is still very much top of the UK's agenda. So I would be very surprised if there were any limitations on entrepreneurial talent or technical talent at all. I mean, I would imagine that those steps would be taken to try and drive those forward. But as I said, I'm really not. It's not my.
No, but it's also a way to launch a message. So yeah. We believe that talent is critical for this kind of ecosystem. So there's something to be done over there.
And in terms of innovation bridges, I know specifically that the UK is, and I'm sure Hugh will touch upon a little bit around the UK's interest in Spain a little later as well. But I know the UK government has a specific department that's looking at bilateral innovation bridges and ways that we can build bilateral partnerships between countries. We work with them on the Germany project, for example. That's one thing that's happened in the last year. And there's a whole host of other things that they're exploring and looking to drive forward. So although there's not necessarily the formal term of innovation bridges, I don't know if that's something people have been discussing personally, but certainly there is a very big interest in bilateral relationship building, as well as continued multilateral. But of course, there are additional complications around that. So it's just trying to figure out that new landscape.
Okay, so well, this is a personal question also for Sandra and the rest of the panelists, because we should be finishing right now, and it's about which would be your piece of advice for startups if you're a corporate, and for corporates if you're startups when working with each other. So Sandra, you work with a lot of startups in Telefónica. So which should be your piece of advice to them so that they can work with corporations such as us?
It's difficult to say because there are lots of advices to say, a lot of problematics and challenges when working with corporations. But I would say patience, because our speed is different for everything. Once we launch and once we accelerate, our power is great and our go-to-market strategy is really powerful. But until we reach that stage, there is a long path to run together, and it's not walking, it's running. But take your time because it's a marathon. So since the very beginning contacts, since an investment is made, since we have a first contact with a startup, until we have a established relationship as a provider, a proven solution, committing with all the security, operational, commercial requirements embedded in our organization, IT systems, billing systems. It takes like 2 years in our case to become a 100% solution of Telefónica's portfolio. In the meanwhile, of course, there are a lot of ways of doing business together, and we are working on agile ways of making it easier for everyone, not only for the startup, but also for us. But the only advice I would give is be patient, because it's worthy. It's something that in the end is giving you a lot of benefits that otherwise you could not get without corporations. But the speed is probably the main challenge.
Okay, perfect. So in 30 seconds, Jose Maria, which is your piece of advice for startups?
I share the same thing that Sandra, so they should be patient. So, I mean, we are big corporates and we are slow moving, but we are always looking at the talent. We are launching a lot of challenges and we are exploring a lot of startups. So we are trying to collaborate as much as we can. So they should keep working and keep submitting proposal for our challenge. And
Okay, perfect. So I'm afraid that we are running out of time and we have amazing speakers that are waiting to participate. So I thank you very much for listening to this panel. It has been great, even for me. I learn a lot every time I do this kind of stuff. So thank you very much, Eva. I think I'm giving you the the leadership here. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Paloma, for managing beautifully this roundtable. We've learned a lot. It's been great to listen to companies from such different perspectives. And thank you, participants, for putting questions for the speakers. We're very sorry to run with a little bit of delay. Stay with us. We've got really interesting two speakers. The next speaker is going to be the Secretary General of Industry and SMEs, Raúl Blanco. Raúl Blanco has been very close to the chamber, both in the current position and his previous positions. He's a real asset to us, endorsing the industrial strategy of the Spanish government and helping us to understand how we can make possible these bridges between Spain and the UK. Raúl is a Bachelor in Economics by the University of Barcelona and Professor of Applied Economics at the same university. Before the current position, he has been the head of industrial strategy at the Industry Directorate General of the Catalan government and director of economic promotion at the City Council of L'Hospitalet. Raúl, un placer verte. The floor is yours.
Encantado, Eva, como siempre, de estar con vosotros en la cámara. I switched to English very fast. Thank you very much for the invitation. We are a little bit on delay, so I will be very brief with some key messages. I was listening to Paloma and the previous speakers. Paloma was talking about Game of Thrones, and I cannot avoid to say that I don't know if winter is coming, but winter has come in some sense since months ago. So the level of uncertainty that we are living, the crisis that we are living, the pandemic crisis that we are living, has no precedent in our lives, and is so complex that we have to be very prudent and very humble to manage and to design public policies, and also to cooperate with private companies in order to pass over this crisis. No, in these terms, actually, what this webinar has in the program of this webinar, we have digitalization, but we have in the different slots we have also the word acceleration, and this is not casual because the pandemic crisis, one thing apart from the prudence and to be humbled, one thing that we have seen is the acceleration of the trends that we have been working in previously, like ecological transition and digitalization. Digitalization is obvious. Now we are here in a webinar. Yesterday the government approves the law for teletrabajo, I don't know, teleworking, if it's correct in English. I'm not very sure about the term. So, but you know, so this is a structural change for the labor market in Spain and for the labor relations in Spain, and it has been done only in some months because of the acceleration of the digitalization, because of course of the pandemic situation, but it's very relevant that all the trends that we have before the COVID-19 crisis, now they are accelerating, and this is very relevant because we have to work in order to guarantee the capacities of our industry, of our economic fabric, of our digital companies, in order not only to succeed in this crisis, but also to foster the capacity to manage this crisis and to fight future crises, because we are now fighting a pandemic crisis, but we know that the future, we don't know which kind of future crisis we will have. Could be climatic related with climatic change, could be related with cyber security, could be related with any other security menace that we have in our global environment. But one thing is sure, that if we foster our capabilities, our companies, especially in industry, especially in digitalization, etc., we will have the capacities to react. Doesn't matter which is the next step in our lives, no? So this is very relevant. To do so, well, the first thing is the reaction, the conjunctural reaction for the Spanish government has reacted very fast in Europe in order to guarantee liquidity in companies. So more than 100,000 million euros in loans and guarantees for companies, especially small and medium enterprises. Also support to entrepreneurs in order to maintain all these the main activity and the circulatory system, the liquidity of the economy. This was the first step. After the sectoral programs, with some sectors very relevant in our economy, like the automotive sector or the tourism, obviously very affected by the situation. And finally, now we have an opportunity in front of us, say in Spain, is that after the European Union agreement, the European Council agreement in July, in May, we have an opportunity to foster these capabilities, as I said before, but we also have an opportunity to promote, to accelerate these trends in our economy, ecological transition and digitalization. Of course, this is a condition from the European Commission in order to apply all the next generation EU funds, the reactivation funds from the European Union. And we are nowadays absolutely focusing in designing these programs. These programs will be absolutely focused to have the instruments to promote this strength in industry in order to improve the industrial investment, to promote digitalization in all the economy, but in our case, of course, especially in industry. But digitalization will be one of the main lines in every program. Doesn't matter if it's in the Minister of Industry, Minister of Agriculture, or Minister of Ecological Transition. Digitalization will be there, and all the programs that we are designing for the next years, for the period 2021-2023, we will be the digitalization will be there as a main line, and also to have the focus not only in individual projects, but also in promoting some kind of country projects, some kind of projects like in the UK. There are good examples of industrial and economic policies that are the catapult projects. So, following the philosophy of this catapult project, we must have 6-7 country projects where we can promote the change in the automotive sector, we can promote the decarbonization in the industrial sector, we can promote the change in building, so sustainable construction, etc. So having 6-7 main lines, 6-7 main big projects for Spain that will in some sense mark the path for the next 10 to 20 years. So we have an opportunity. So we have an opportunity very I don't know how to say it, an amazing opportunity in a very difficult time, in difficult times, because if we take profit from this opportunity, if we, in dialogue with the productive sectors, with the companies, with the associations, with the chambers, are able to promote and to foster these projects, I'm sure that Spain will succeed to this crisis, because we know that in Spain, in UK, in Europe, we will succeed to this crisis. We don't know when. We have to be very prudent, but we know that we will succeed in some months or maybe in 1 year time, but we will be there, and we have to design right now the policies not only to succeed this crisis, but to foster the next 20 years. So we are absolutely involved in this point during these days, and for this also is very relevant the private-public partnership, because the public sector should have a role of entrepreneurial state, like Mariana Mazzucato always tell us, but in direct cooperation with the private sector, with the private stakeholders like the Chamber of Commerce, in order to promote these projects, in order to do it, to apply them together. So we will be there during the next days, and it will be a pleasure to, as always has been, to cooperate with you, to cooperate with the chamber, to cooperate with the speakers, the interesting speakers that you have had during the webinar. And finally, I would like to saludar to Mr. Elliot, the ambassador, and thank him for all the support during these months. It doesn't matter, whenever we have contact with them, always we have had an excellent answer. It are difficult times because of the global situation, also because of Brexit, but we will continue cooperating with the chamber, with the embassy, in order to generate these projects and to generate this economic future for both countries. So thank you very much for the invitation, and do not hesitate to contact us for these projects, for any activity that you have in the next future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Raúl. Yes, the Innovation Committee has on a quarterly basis internal meetings, webinars to inform companies, as we're doing today, and a lot of meetings with government officials. So thank you very much for allowing us to contact your department, both with the Ministry of Innovation and with the Ministry of Trade. I think there is lots to be discussed. And this is the reason why it is a pleasure to introduce our to Spain, British ambassador to 2019. He joined the Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office in 1980. Since then, he's been He's held senior positions at British embassies in countries like Argentina and France, in Buenos Aires and Paris. From 2016 until 2013, he was the head of government affairs at Anglo-American Corporation in Latin America. And before his arrival to Spain, he was director of communications at the Department of Exit of the EU. The British ambassador to Spain is also the honorary president of the British Chamber. The Innovation and Science Department, headed by Sandra Cebrián, have been given a very strong support to make possible that there is a bilateral angle in our committee. And I welcome his presence, and he will be closing our webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Eva. And hello, everybody. And first, to check, you can hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Brilliant. Well, look, so Eva, thanks a lot. Thank you, Paloma. Raul, thanks for your kind words. We really value the collaboration that we have with you, and rest assured that that will continue with you in the ministry. We, for our side, very much appreciate it too. You know, I think the huge thanks to the Chamber team, as well as to the companies, to Telefónica, to Digital Capital, Iberdrola, and Localistico for this event, which I've been listening to for the last half hour. No, actually, a bit more than that. Last 45 minutes or so. I wasn't able to join right from the start, I'm afraid, but it's been a very interesting conversation, and very specific. And so I feel a bit of a fraud here to have a generalist come in at the very end to close it, but I will just pull together a few threads. But before I do so, just to say as well, congratulations to the Innovation Committee on the Chamber. I think it's great that the Chamber's got an Innovation Committee. I'm grateful for everybody who's working on that, all the people who are involved, in particular from the Embassy, from Sandra Cebrián. We will continue to support it, to support events. And we are, just really pleased that that's going on. So that's an important part of this. I was glad that you said, Paloma, you mentioned the dragons of Game of Thrones coming in and that being disruptive. Well, I mean, and Game of Thrones in many ways is a great example of innovation, and British innovation in many ways, because as you will mostly know, it was filmed at the Paint Hall Studios in Northern Ireland, and many of the sort of outdoor scenes when they needed the backdrop were filmed in Northern Ireland. When you had to go up to the north, some were filmed in Iceland. And the way global warming is going, we're not able quite to cater for some of that scenery in the United Kingdom yet. But also, interestingly, for the south, Spain was a major venue as well for the filming. So even Game of Thrones was a great example of bilateral collaboration in a way. I'm just going to talk very briefly about the sort of environment for business and about where digital transformation fits into that and the focus of the British government. I won't be long. I'll be about 5 or 6 minutes at most. I would say, first of all, that, and I forget who it was who was highlighting this, but the UK's focus on creating a dynamic and supportive environment for business, for startups, for innovation, and for digital is only going to increase. It's not going to decrease. And just to tackle head on the question about Brexit right up front, I think it's absolutely fair to say that right now, you have got, if you are looking to invest and start up a project, you're saying, well, in 3.5 months' time, I'm not quite sure what the environment's going to be. Well, that's precisely, that uncertainty was one of the precise reasons why the British government didn't want to extend the transition period. We wanted to bring certainty in much sooner. And we hope, therefore, that we're at the height of the negotiations right now, and those are always sort of tense moments. And we are seeing some of the emanations of that tension in sort of comments which are made here and there and things that are going on, but that is often very common as complex negotiations reach their culmination, and I remain very optimistic that they will do so successfully. we will, as has been said, we will remain committed to creating a really, really decent and positive environment. And the elements of that, which have already been referred to, are, you have got extraordinary access to financing, you have got a great market in terms of skills, and the future UK immigration system. Yes, it is absolutely true, and I think Nigel mentioned this in the chat, that the immigration will not be so fluid. By definition, free movement of workers finishes at the end of the year. So with free movement finishing, it will not be as straightforward just to move between the UK and the European Union. But the new UK immigration system is a skills-based system. So we will continue to encourage skills and expertise from all over the world. So in this sector, I really think that we will continue to be very dynamic and competitive, and we will seek to deliver policies that support that. And so I've got quite a lot of confidence that this is going to continue to be, for all the attractions of the beach in Barcelona, this is going to continue to be, we're going to continue to have an exciting offer there. Now, in terms of our digital approach to digital in general, I mean, I lived through this myself from the communications standpoint and was fascinated to come back into government. As Eva said, I was in the private sector, running government relations for Anglo-America and working all around the world. But when I came back to government in 2013 as Director of Communication at the Foreign Office, one of the things that really struck me was just how much of a pioneer the British government was in the digital transformation of services, so public services. It was Martha Lane Fox who was a major force behind this, the creation of the government's digital transformation unit. And now you see, I think, 10 years on, the results of that pioneering work. We were absolutely at the forefront of the transformation of government services. Through the creation of gov.uk and all the services that are delivered through that. Now, lots of other countries were also very much in that game, and it's a very competitive game. But I think, whereas sometimes you may see that government is a sort of a lagging indicator of societal or business trends, digital is one of those ones where, in some aspects at least, the British government has demonstrated that we are absolutely sort of upfront and sort of living our rhetoric. I'm sure we've got plenty of ways in which we need to do that more, and on the ground you will tell us what those are. But we've already published our national data strategy, of course, this year, earlier this month, and it puts data at the heart of the country's recovery from the pandemic. For example, we will be recruiting over 500 data analysts across the public sector over the next few months to increase our own skills in this set. Interestingly, I saw that Downing Street has said that it's going to offer about a dozen fellowships a year to attract world-class tech talent into Downing Street. I think you may see the innovative hand of a certain Mr. Dominic Cummings in that announcement, where you've read his blogs and his written publications. This is clearly something that he's very keen on and very interested in. We're putting several millions of pounds into a project to address barriers to data sharing. So we are very much sort of involved in and thinking very hard about making sure that our data strategy is up to the mark. We will be publishing by the end of the year a new digital strategy. Of course, we're all living digital transformation, as lots of people have said in this conversation, through this meeting and the way we're living our lives. COVID, necessity is the mother of invention. Tiene que haber un refrán español para eso. No sé cuál sería. Alguien me puede informar en el chat. But necessity is the mother of invention, and we've all been living that in a very real way over the last few months, and we'll need to continue to do so. But the new strategy will accelerate, we hope, economic recovery by aiding the development of a skilled digital workforce. And I think we all know that it is very much about skills, helping workers transition to a digital-led economy and personally develop the skills they will need to do that, to move into the tech sector, to digitalize their business. And this is going to be, I think, absolutely core to what we need to do. And I think this is important to understand, because when people do on a regular basis here sort of question the UK's commitment to collaboration, commitment to sort of internationalism, if you like. We remain incredibly committed to international collaboration. As I said, we are going to be highly skills focused in terms of our immigration policies going forward, and our commitment long term on resource and development is incredibly clear. We will continue to invest in science and research so that we get the economic growth, so we get the societal benefits that we're all looking for across the UK and beyond. We will be increasing UK investment in research and development to 2.4% of GDP by 2027, and we're going to increase public funding for research and development to £22 billion a year by 2024-2025. So no, the government's going to put its money where its mouth is on all of this, and I hope what that will do will be to continue to create the environment that you've all been talking about today, to be able to do real things on the ground, get companies up and running quickly, and get ideas to market quickly. And we really value the collaboration we have got across business with the Chamber, with, as I was saying, Raul, with the Spanish government, so that we can make the most of the incredibly strong bilateral ties that exist already in this sector. And I'll stop there and just say thank you very much indeed. And again, to congratulate Chamber on the initiative, to thank the Spanish government, to thank all the companies as well who've supported this and contributed. And I found it a fascinating discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. 11:36. Thank you very much for all staying with us until slightly later. Thank you to the Innovation Committee companies. Thank you to the Digital Catapult, Secretary General, British Embassy, Telefónica, Iberdrola. Stay safe, stay innovative, and have a good day.
Thank you, Eva. Thank you, Ambassador. Bye.
Thank you all, and I've learnt a new refrain.